Okay, we're on it.
Hi,
Got it.
and welcome to Conscious Talk TV. And I'm your host, Linda Summers. And today's topic is going to be spirituality and mental health and how we can differentiate and understand the money in both with Mason Summers. And so, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mason to the show. Hey, Mason,
Hey, should I call you Aunt Linda or
you
just Linda
can. This is my
Summer?
nephew. Yes, you can, of course. Whatever you want to do.
My favorite aunt, probably one of the most open-minded, man. I just super appreciate you and everything
Oh,
you did for me whenever I was traveling around trying to find myself. And like I told you before, I only really do different types of things in order to have new experiences and challenge myself to do different things because I don't actually often talk as my profession. My
right,
profession is painting for the National Park Service right now, maintenance mechanic as well. So I can do other types of
correct.
work, but I just mostly work with my hands and deal with the guys with me.
Yeah,
And I definitely went out and got myself a haircut recently for this.
nice.
And
That's good.
here's a small joke. I told them to give me the good old boy cut, and they obliged. But
Well,
no,
it looks good.
I shaved it into the goatee and everything. And it was just difficult enough for me to get to that point where I could go get a haircut and go and talk to somebody and figure out how I can style myself and bring myself forward in the world and kind of get out of my shell, which is what I really want to talk about a lot is mental health and being able to
Yes.
understand other people, empathize with them, and communicate with them in a way that is both helpful to me and them.
Yeah.
And I've struggled a lot with that in my life. Uh, and many people have told me to pursue spirituality, religion, and things to help me through these struggles as well. And I just feel torn between what I find to be my spirituality is like this overgrown bush, and it's so huge and everything, but it has these vines that try to choke it out. I mean, it's already so big, it's not going to be choked out by these vines.
Right.
They are still there and they are trying to choke it out, but they have all these nice little flowers on them as well. So it's like, should I rip out the vines with medication or with religion and just have the bush? It's, I'm going for a metaphor here, but I just feel torn between what I should be focusing my time and energy to. Uh, some rudimentary ideas of spirituality that I have, or a psychologist, therapist, medication, things that can alter my perspective and alter my personality. So these are just kind of the things I just wanted to talk to you about. And it's not like I'm some sort of expert or anything. I just have a specific perspective that I have used to survive in this life.
Yeah.
And it's worked well sometimes for me, and sometimes it hasn't. And I don't really know how to go on the steps. I mean, I've had substance abuse issues, which is very, uh, very common in
Right.
our modern society. And I have plenty of statistics, that I brought up on this other phone that I could read.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, like people understand
Right.
that mental health is a serious issue
Very.
in this country, and I don't know really. These are the two solutions that I'm being given, and I don't really know which way to go with it.
Yeah.
Do you
Well,
understand what I'm saying?
yeah, definitely. And I love the fact of the analogy with the vine because really, when you said it's choking it, right? Literally, it's like life can choke us, right? Can really just have a hold on us. that we don't really have that idea of where we want to go. And so I believe that for me, and I think this is wonderful that you are one having this experience, right? And two, that you are willing to be able to have a conversation around it. Like, and not only that, but I think and feel that there's a lot of people who are in the same place as you.
Guaranteed.
Totally. So that's why it's so beneficial for you to share your story, your experience, and how you are defining, because we can go on drugs and we can do all that. You can do the mushrooms or ayahuasca or whatever, right?
Of course,
To reach
yes.
that what is it, or Nasha or Nirvana or whatever it is, right? To get to the other side. But in all honesty, when we go within ourselves, and that's what I consider the journey of spirituality, is being connected to yourself. We don't
Okay.
need any of the other, right? But
Mm,
society and all this will tell us differently. And other people,
yes.
our family, our friends, but it's really up to us. So
And it's hard to find yourself because oftentimes we're told to find ourselves through our work or our family or what we do in our hobbies and things like that. And oftentimes I don't find that to really be true on who I actually am. I
right.
feel like my family, yeah, has an influence on me. And I am always the product of how I was raised and who was there with me through all of that. And I can take and accept that and understand the great parts of it and understand the parts that aren't really me. So it's like I just, have been in a constant process of narrowing down who I am and where I want to go and what I want to be focused on. And a lot of that started whenever I saw you when I was traveling around
Mm,
America.
yeah.
Is that I met so many people from so many different walks of life, and plenty of people who have sat in the Midwest and never went anywhere
Yes.
and experienced anything or talked to anybody that was different
Yeah.
or understood where these people are coming from and how they ended up in the situation that they are. And I met so many different kinds of people, from Native Americans on the Blackfeet Reservation up in Montana to weed farmers in Northern California to, to travelers along the 101 to seriously mentally ill people living on the street and not being able to find any help
Yeah.
that will help them find their own home or help them find a safe place for them.
Yeah.
And I have tried my best to help people, even so much as that now I'm older. And now I I I don't like helping people who feel entitled to my help anymore. And I feel bad about that because these people do need my understanding and skills, but I'm just getting grumpier as I get older because I've already dealt with so many different kinds of people who were actually hurting, were actually on the edge, were actually at rock bottom where they were shaking, asking me for a t-shirt because they're coming off alcohol and they had bed bugs and had to throw away their clothes.
Oh,
Like it was and it's insane out there. And a lot of people like to write off mental health, like to write off these people. And I'm not saying I'm better than anybody because I've done the same. I have family members who are or were addicted to substances. And honestly, for my own well being, I had to separate myself out from that
yes.
because I also have problems focusing and keeping on my path. And these people will only lead to me just thinking more in my head about how to help out these other people or how do I either bring myself away from it, you know?
Yeah.
And in the certain spirituality section of that, I'm supposed to be helping these people. I'm supposed to love them deeply, no matter what. Try to push them along to the best person of themselves. But it's like this dichotomy between the two where I just am trying to be in between, trying to understand my own needs and understand what I can give to people. And I've been really good with that recently. I've been giving money to people I think who are going to use it, in a good way. Because I have this good job now. Proud of my work. I go in and they have the good benefits and I get paid fine enough because I don't have any children. I don't have any
Yeah.
responsibilities. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, I don't really need a lot of things. Like,
Yeah.
that's part of the minimalism we're talking about. I don't really need a ton of things.
Right.
I don't really buy a lot. So, I mean, giving money here and there to people who appreciate it more than I do is not like, it makes me feel like I'm actually doing something. But, in the same respect, like I constantly also have to be trying to move myself forward. And that's what I'm having trouble with. Like
Mm.
all these ideologies I'm getting fed all the time by the internet, people around me, work people and everything. I just constantly have to differentiate between what is helpful to me and others and what is trying to separate me from others. Because I deal with a lot of people at work, especially talk shit about homeless people.
Yeah.
And then I have to tell them that I was at one point homeless. I mean, part of it was self-chosen, but I honestly felt at the time that I was not being true to myself, living the life that I was, and I needed to go out and figure out something new and a new perspective.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go through that, and I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just trying to give my truth of the kind of life that I've lived and where I'm trying to go towards, because I still want to be helpful towards people. I still want to support people in the way I can, but I
Mhm.
also don't want other people to feel entitled
Yeah.
to me and how and the things I can do for them.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So
So I want to mention, well, one thing. So, when you're on the airplane and you're flying, right? And they always say, put the mask on yourself first before the person next to you, your child, whoever it is, that can't do it themselves. You come in the world alone, you leave the world alone, right? And so
mhm.
it really is about you. And once you are able, that you are good with you, whatever that looks like for you, right? Then you're able, just like the mask, then I'm able to put that mask on somebody else because now I have the oxygen, you know, that and I can do that. So I wanted just to say that. And then how did you like where did your idea of spirituality come from? Your idea of that you
Well,
have to give to
I
people.
mean, that our whole life is we are inundated with different ideas of spirituality.
Yes.
As soon as we grow up, I was in a Sunday school with my great grandma. Like, I remember different ways of being told what spirituality is and what it takes to obtain the best parts of this spirituality. And the kind of person that I am is that I always question everything. So I just never really felt like I was within the realm of everything that everybody told me. I and it's partially a bad thing too because I fight against everything that everybody tells me I am. I'm like an habitual expectation denier. Like, I will like defy all expectations, and not in the best ways, and sometimes in a different way. It's just I always try to understand what other people's expectations are, and instead of trying to use that to my own advantage to make money, I defy those and flip it on its head usually, because I don't really care about money. I and I probably won't ever. I save it, I have it, and I give it to people who I feel like can use it. But it's like I don't really care about that. And a lot of people's motivation, it seems like, is to become prosperous in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have become prosperous in numerous other ways that I can feel good about and remember rather than looking at some numbers in my bank account.
Yes.
For example, I think about one of my most prized possessions that you probably saw that I brought along last time I was there, which was the conch shell trumpet,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I would take that thing everywhere and like blow it in inopportune times because everybody expects, it's just a shell, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you blow it and it's this big weird sound and it gets people's attention or whatever. And I had such a great time with it and would take it to various places on camping trips and all sorts of things just to defy people's expectations. But then last Halloween, I was standing out on my front porch, just, you know, thinking of what to do to make this an interesting time and was blowing the conch shell trumpet. And then I started trying to get kids to be like, if you can play this horn, you can have it. And I had a few kids come by and they couldn't play it. And I asked even their parents and they couldn't play it. And then I went across the street and was talking to the neighbors and we were hanging out and finally got this young, like sort of portly red haired kid who actually came up and played the thing. And I had to
Wow.
give it to him because,
Wow.
I keep my word. So
Yeah.
I gave away, that thing that's just a prized possession. But really, I mean, overall, what does it really cost? Like, $15 and about an hour's worth of work
Yeah.
with the right tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just like various things mean a lot to other people. I find like, and a lot of these things don't mean a lot to me. Um, like what means a lot to me is to come on and have a recorded conversation with you because you're a person that I respect and love,
Yeah.
and that helped me out through one of the hardest times in my life to help push me along to keep on the journey, which I'm just super thankful for. And it's not really about like wanting to be seen or being posted on social media or wanting people to see me, or it's not about vanity. It's about
Yeah.
honestly interpersonal connections, mostly just between me and you, but
Yeah.
also just, if your audience wants to hear a different perspective on somebody who has led a working man's life, but has also said, screw that, I'm going to go and just travel around for a bit, but I still had jobs.
That's right. That's right.
uh, then, I mean, maybe that's something that people can benefit from. If not, I mean, like I said, I'm still trying to find an honest balance between understanding my mental health concerns of like depression and anxiety and, sometimes not being able to focus and move in the direction I want to, and also be able to understand that spiritually, I'm still trying to build my soul, still trying to help others that need help, and um, and that's really what it means to me. Like
Yeah.
helping others and building my soul, like really is very important to me.
Yeah.
Uh, so so and it's so now we get into the money side of things, right? How difficult it is to find a therapist that works within your insurance, that if you have insurance or if you have the money to pay for it, or even like a psychiatrist that can prescribe you medication that will help with your issues. uh all these things cost money and time,
Mhm.
and a lot of times, and focus, because people with mental health issues also have a hard time focusing on things to like help them out.
Yeah.
So the money's not there for a lot of people,
Mhm.
and the help may be there, but it requires so many obstacles to get to that point that a lot of people get. I've done it. I've gotten fed up on obstacle one of finding a good therapist, you know what I mean? Of getting that phone call and being able to talk with them. And yeah. So, but in the other regard, if you want to say, okay, all the science, all of the psychology, all of the medication, isn't really going to do much for me. Okay, I can understand that perspective. I've thought it many times in my life where I'm
Yeah.
like, this stuff's really just going to change who I am. And I love myself for my flaws, for the different
Yes.
darker parts of myself. I
That's
love that
awesome.
aspect. So then you go over to the spiritual side though, but it requires maybe not the money or the time, but it requires you to often fit into other people's perspectives or fit into what other people expect you to be or to understand or to view the world as. And the kind of person I am rebellious against that too. So I feel like a lot of people can identify with where I'm at and like
Absolutely.
how difficult it is to transverse in the world. Not only to have a good job, you know, benefits and everything, the insurance, but also be able to put the steps in to move past that. You know what I mean? Like I'm on top, I'm on cloud nine. Like you know, I've moved up the steps. I feel really comfortable with who I am and where I'm at
Yeah.
now. But I still think about all those people I met that are on the streets, probably still on the streets,
Yeah.
and that they will not attain that level because they don't really have the help. You know, they'd more likely be put into jail for petty theft or smoking weed than they would be to get help for
Right.
their own personal issues.
So what I hear you saying is that you basically you want to be able to, well, one, I think, Mason, with what you're being so vulnerable and sharing your own experience, that a lot of people can, and we said this in the very beginning of the show, can identify.
Mm.
And when you have a system that is really not in the benefit of the person, because it really isn't, then it's very difficult, right? Because the system, I believe, was meant to keep you where you are, right? Unless we defy and go outside of that system. And then as far as the spirituality goes, we cannot fit into a box. And when we try to fit into a box, it's very difficult. You know what I mean? So what one person society says, you know, or religion or family or whomever, this is what it looks like because you identified spirituality, you know, going to Sunday school and, you know, being raised Catholic and all of that. At some point
That
in our
was you.
life, yes, yeah. And then but I left that because I realized that it wasn't in my benefit, right? And so then I dove in to finding out who I was and realize that I'm not going to fit in anywhere. And the spirituality is being connected to oneself, that is in
It's always
connection to,
changing.
yes, to the spirit. So we've got about 10 minutes, but I want to at least give you 5 minutes at the end of the show. But I want to, so you are really wanting to help those other people because you've already arrived. Is that correct? What I'm hearing, to where you're at, that you feel comfortable enough because you've done that. You've gone through those circumstances, right?
Yeah, not only have I arrived at that place where I feel like I can help others and lend my skills to them or give them money or whatever, but I also feel like because I have lived on those terms that these people have lived, that I have a higher connection to their struggles.
Yes.
And that I my favorite skill of mine, and it's mostly might be mostly built off anxiety about other people and my trust issues, but being able to read other people and empathize with them has been my best skill in this life and has kept me out of trouble and away from bad situations all
Yes.
the time. And I mean,
Wow.
honestly, it might be contributed also as well to our family because I've seen a lot of people in our family that are also very good at reading other people.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I'm a little better at it. No big deal. But
Yeah, it's a gift. And what an
yeah, it
amazing
is.
gift it is, right?
Mhm.
And I do think that there are mental health, like we stated in the very beginning of the show, mental health is a really big thing, especially
Huge,
since COVID.
huge, right.
even before then, right? And there's
Mm.
no one there. So it seems as though you have the experience because you've been on the streets. You know what it's like. And I want to just commend you on the simplicity of life because the material things come and go. But when we have what you have, that never leaves. It's
That's
embedded
really
within
great.
you.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes.
I
Yes.
really
And
appreciate that. And yeah, but I think it's also, you know, you're kind of going in this direction, which I feel like is broaching upon political propaganda, in which we are supposed to be distrustful of sciences and scientists and what they have discovered about varying diseases and vaccines and things like that. And I feel like that is, I mean, everybody can make slippery slope arguments. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, oh, once you agree to this, then it's like, then you're tumbling downhill. But I
right,
feel like we have to be open to understanding that not everything is black and white.
right,
Nothing actually is. Nothing is black and white.
right.
You know, not mental health is not black and white. You can't say this person who's transgendered has mental health issues, thus they need to be forced into help, or you know, comparing them to someone who has brought a gun to school and saying this person has mental health issues and they need to be helped. Both of those are varying degrees of mental health issues,
Yes,
and
yes,
there are dynamics in terms of gender and masculine and feminine identity that have so many varieties, and it's everything is a spectrum. Nothing can be nailed down to one or the other.
right.
And that's what I really want to say, is that we have to have understanding that people want a way to nail something down, but nothing ever gets nailed down in the way that they want it to be.
Hmm. Hmm.
So and it's hard for anybody to try to figure out what where they are on on any spectrum,
Yeah.
who they want to be, and what their goals are. And I think that's the main point. It's like, what are your goals and how do you seek to accomplish them? And this is a lot of, self-help talk that a lot of people
Yes,
do and everything,
yes.
but
It's an inside
it is
job.
the absolute truth. And a lot of people find that their self goals are finding that they want to be more of a feminine person or more of a woman if they are a man and things like that. And I don't disrespect people who have a focus on wanting to make themselves more on how they feel like.
Yeah,
I don't disrespect anybody who wants to take their focus and go to a goal and make it happen for themselves and become the person that they want to be.
yeah,
I actually respect that aspect about people. If you want to, because I find, some of the people I don't vibe with most are just walking through life going, yeah, well, whatever. I work in maintenance, okay? I work in
yeah,
construction. Like,
yeah,
there's a ton of guys out there who are just like, yeah, well, whatever, fuck you.
yeah,
I'm sorry for the words, but
yeah,
that is them, bro.
yeah,
Like, this is who they are.
yeah.
And they're not looking to change. They're not looking
Nope.
for goals. They had already decided, this is who I am. I got these kids, and this is who I'm gonna be.
Yeah,
And to me, that is just childish.
yeah,
And that people need to have a wider understanding, a bigger spectrum on varying other people. Because as we said at the beginning, most people don't ever live or leave their hometown, and they don't
yeah,
ever experience varying kinds of people. And
yeah.
luckily, I'm related to a well-to-do aunt that lives in San Diego. I
You know, you can
got
always
to
come
be
and
able
visit.
to. Yeah. I love it, and I do appreciate like the talk we could have and everything, because it
Yeah,
just, it's a form of therapy for me too, to just be like, to actually talk to somebody who's real and who will listen, because
yeah,
most people are just listening just to say what they want to say.
yeah. That's so true. Okay, we got 5 minutes. So in
Okay.
this 5 minutes, I want you, whatever is on your heart, that a message that you want to give to the audience that's going to watch this, because feel what you've really shared is really super important. And I think it's very beneficial. And so I want to give you that opportunity to share that. And then what's one thing that you've learned that you can give them as a gem to walk away with?
Okay, I've got a small story. Before I met up with you down in San Diego, I was up in the Redwoods, up there in Red Bud, actually. It's a small town up in, it's just north of, um, it's in the Humboldt area, but it's like south, just north of what's the other one that's below that in the Emerald Triangle?
So
Mara, what is it?
I don't
Starts
know.
with an M. Anyway, whatever. So I'm in this small town and I'm sleeping out of my car at, at this hotel in the parking lot. And this woman comes out who manages the hotel, comes out and talks to me. And she's like, hey, you know, I need your help. I'll give you $50 if you can get my son into rehab in the big town that's over. And the big town's like an hour away.
Wow.
And that's in Eureka. And she's like, I can give you $50 if you can go do this. 20 if you can't get him checked into rehab. And I'm like, okay, I take this mission because I'm broke and I'm living out of my car. And I go over to where she says he's going to be at. And it is in this small trailer park. And I see his aunt and his uncle, and they are both high on meth and really just not good people. And he's not there, though. So I started drinking a
We got
little bit
less
of
than
water.
1 minute.
Okay.
Sorry. So to make sure you
No,
get
this
that in
story
there.
is too long. The point is that this guy was addicted to meth, and I had got him over to the rehab clinic and everything. And despite this other guy talking like a devil on his shoulder, like, oh, just come to the alleyway and we'll just continue to do drugs or whatever, I got him checked into the rehab clinic and kept the $50 that I wanted, and even gave that guy a ride back to his hometown while he was spewing all these conspiracy theories and everything at me. Even helped out that guy.
Uh,
And what I want to say is that the base level that I was working on in that time in my life was almost how I want to be